talking about things. And yeah, if you saw the traditional market open today, then you know that on the day after Labor Day in 2024, when traditional markets came back online after a long holiday weekend, markets did not do what all the talking heads had said it was going to do. Oh, it's going to pump to the moon. Everybody's so excited. Everything's ready to go. What actually happened? What I told you was the higher probability of happening, right? The higher probability of happening was to the downside. That's exactly what happened, right? Prices dumped. Whatever the assets were, like Bitcoin dumped like more than 2 points after the open. Bitcoin runs 24/7, sure. But obviously when traditional markets open, it does a lot of movement usually when there's a lot of movement on traditional markets. And a lot of assets across traditional markets dumped out very nicely. Obviously Dixie pumped because it does usually the opposite of what a bunch of dollar pegged securities and assets are tied to. So you should not be surprised if you saw what I was telling you. You should know the VEPs don't lie. VEPs don't lie. They're just probabilities and statistics based on volatility and entropy, which are how the markets move. So, but if you did catch that 2% dump on Bitcoin and you didn't take your profits, what are you thinking? Or whatever percentage it was on any other crypto you happen to be trading. Solana, Ethereum, Litecoin, whatever, BNB, it doesn't matter, right? If you look at where Bitcoin dumped to, literally down to the center of the monthly range, and from there it was just bumbling over for a good long while, saying take your profits on your shorts, take your profits and reposition for the next move. Whatever that next move will be could already be happening right now for all I know. I'm not in front of my chart obviously right now. Don't really care, right? Got the early trade in, that's it. Now I gotta go do other things. But the point is, the VEPs don't lie. Now, could it bounce out from here? Could you even end up on a upside on the day? Yeah, it's possible. But again, we look at the probabilities, right? And that's why I look at low time frames for the probabilities. Sure, I look at the big picture, the high time frames. When I'm doing my workflow at the start of the day, I start with the probabilities. I look, how's it looking? Whatever. Yeah, things are looking good. 4 hours started, before the market opened above the power mean. The new 4-hour candle on Bitcoin, for example, started above the power mean. That's great. Usually that indicates more positive returns, but the previous 4 candles, which were above the power mean, were all to the downside, ever so slightly, but to the downside, right? That's not very upward looking. So when it dumped out, once the market opened, it wasn't a big surprise, especially when you looked at the lower time frames, like the 15-minute, right? The 9-minute, the 1 minute, 3 minute. They're all saying, this thing's getting ready to dump, and you could see it getting ready to dump, and it started to dump exactly as the market opened. So you shouldn't be surprised, right, that happened if you're reading the VEPs correctly. And if you're not, well, then it shouldn't surprise you that you read it wrong. If you read it wrong, which you probably did, right? And that's okay. People read things wrong all the time. But if you're reading things wrong because you're using bad information and there is better information, how do you know? Well, go look at my previous videos and you'll see what I told you. Right? See how many times I'm right. Go look at our live streams on Alpha Trading. See how much information Bilbo's giving you on these live streams. See how many times out of a given week we're correct about the probabilities of the daily and where it goes. Right? You'll find more than 4 out of 5 times we are correct. Right? I mean, I'm not going to give you an exact win rate, but I certainly tell you, more than 9 out of 10 times we're right about where things are likely to go, to the upside or the downside. We'll give you probabilities to both sides, right? But we tell you also the propensity of what's likely to happen throughout the course of the day if it hits certain targets. So, again, today, Bitcoin had a propensity of downside action. There's a mixed bag because there is some information that was showing on the daily that it could possibly go up, but it went up a tiny bit and then came back down. Didn't go up a tiny bit, but it went up, a point and some change, and then came back down a couple points. So it should not surprise you that this move happened at all. All the returns are doing are distributing away from the means and then mean reverting to the means. And that's exactly what we saw happen. There are a bunch of mean reversions happening. There are a bunch of distributions happening. That's what was happening. That's why Bitcoin dumped out nicely, relative to the time frame, a couple points on the 4-hour candle, like 2.5 points or 2.4, whatever points on the 4-hour candle. Who knows? I don't know where it's going to finish up. Maybe it'll finish positive. We've got a nice bounce from the central monthly range. Maybe it'll keep going down, but it was just going sideways once it hit that range, once it hit that central monthly range, like the center of the central monthly range. It could bounce up, right? It's the matter of whether or not there's going to be more buy pressure or sell pressure, right? That's all there is. So, are you going to be more in line with when there's buy pressure? Are you going to be buying? Are you going to be more in line with sell pressure when there's selling? Right? Because that's what you ought to be doing. Right? When there's selling, you should have been selling already, and then take your profits when it hits targets. Right? When it's going up because of buy pressure, you want to be longing, and then take pressure off and take risk off by taking profits once it hits specific targets. And don't be greedy, because greed is the killer. Right? Greed is the thing that you just think, oh, I'm just going to stay in this trade a bit longer. I'm going to have, 10 times more profits on this trade. Yeah, well, what if you're wrong, right? What if it quickly reverts? And then you lose it all because you didn't realize your actual gains. Then what do you do? Right? So don't be the one that's left holding the bag, wondering, oh, why did my profits go down? Well, because there was trading going the other way, more pressure going the other way. And that's why it cost you your bag. So don't be that person that gets suckered out of your profits just because of stupid greed. Anyway, I'm not going to rant at you right now. Love you all. And go into the Discord, learn to trade for free at alphatradinghq.com/Discord. All right. See ya. Happy trading.